Welcome to Growth Purposes Only podcast with me, your host, Princess Serafina. Join me Thursdays for new episodes on all streaming platforms and our YouTube channel for Growth Purposes Only, no spaces. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I pray that whomever is supposed to receive this, it reaches you and it uplifts you. I hope God bless you, and I hope everybody is having a blessed and wonderful Thursday. I want to get in to talk about deceit and betrayal. Deceit and betrayal are very familiar to myself. I've experienced a lot of deceit and betrayal in my life, and they're one of the top things you can do to be completely cut off from me. Like, nothing bothers me more than to be betrayed or for someone to, do something deceitful. And deceit can be like withholding information. It can be lying about certain situations, just forms of manipulation. And I take it very personal because I'm a very open and honest person. I sometimes can be an oversharer, and I'm learning to withhold from that. But, from coming from a person who's very vulnerable and expressive of their emotions with people that they encounter, when I experience deceit or betrayal, it can be taken very personal because I feel like you have an ulterior motive, and it makes me question things in our relationship, whether it be friendship or, just acquaintanceships, anything where I come encounter with someone and I show up as myself. And it bothers me because I do show up as myself, and I tend to blindly trust. And I sometimes get mad at myself and think am I too naive, or what is it that makes people want to, play mind games? And I think that blindly trusting people can backfire a lot because you begin to trust whatever they show you. And I prefer that because I don't want to stay ahead of the game. I don't want to play mind games. I feel like it puts too much energy to try to figure out what someone means all the time. And I'm already an overthinker. And I don't want to waste my time thinking about every single encounter I come into with someone and wonder if they were being their true self. So I feel like God uses me in those situations mostly because of my mindset in that manner, to show people that, there are people with genuine intentions and people who are really not out here moving shady and grimy. So, but for me on the opposing end, it feels crazy when someone turns out to be exactly who I didn't want to portray them as, and give them the benefit of the doubt, especially in relationships. Blindly trusting people has its benefits because you get to show up as yourself. And then when things do go wrong, if they do, I don't want to say that they're guaranteed to go wrong, but if they do go wrong, you were yourself the whole entire time. You kept it 100%, and you didn't show any form of shadiness or betrayal or just deceit on your behalf. So, it's well, at least I was myself. That is normally my recall after. But then it's also painful because exposing yourself in that manner and being that vulnerable with somebody is dang, what can someone do with this information? And not I'm ashamed, but it's just so real, so authentic. It's so me. And I'm more to myself, introverted when I need to be. And I like to be extroverted with people that I feel like I can trust. So if I'm not judging people correctly, then, I'm giving out information that people shouldn't have. So that's why it bothers me as much, because I feel like people know a part of me that maybe they shouldn't have been exposed to. And then I come into those situations being very loyal, and things that maybe people in those positions aren't really deserving of or in that moment need necessarily from me. So it's once again, I'm being used, for the other person's benefit in that manner. But for myself, it stings. It makes me look at people differently. I've during my transition with Christ, I've learned to honor people a little bit differently and give them grace in a different manner, because everybody's not exposed to people like myself, or no, most people don't have that many encounters with people who have genuine intentions and pure hearts. So, I had to grant forgiveness and just be aware that certain things aren't as common as I would like to believe. So, during the healing process for those situations, I tend to like go within and like ask myself, like, why does this bother me as much, as if I'm shameful of anything, or like, what could I've done differently to prevent me oversharing or me overexposing things in my personal life? And it's not like I lose anything, but it's like these people don't need that part of me and to necessarily be close to me. And why do I trust people with such vital parts of me? Like, there should be boundaries in place. There should be levels for certain type of interactions. And blindly trusting people doesn't necessarily give you that availability to make, certain decisions out of discernment. So it really has taught me to be very cautious and use my discernment when I'm deciding how much access I give to people. It's not an easy task because of who I am, but after so many times you realize like, yeah, this can't continue to go on, and I can't continue to take setbacks like this, because when I'm going through those like situations where I need to like revamp myself or like, reflect from a decision I made that may have did more harm than good, it takes me a while to bring myself back to where I was before. And so to minimize that duration of the process, I like to put boundaries in place and grant certain access with time, like with loyalty shown from the opposite person, not just straight out the gate. I feel like this impacts me a lot in friendships more than relationships. I truly feel like relationships, I just have to change my mindset and like accept people for who they are and not who I think they could be. So if I just move with a little bit more time, but with friendships, the most, because when you start to build friendships and interact with people, everybody always has their poker face on, like who they are. The best parts of them is who they display. So you begin to bond over, things that you guys have in common or typically enjoy. So it's like when it takes real life situations to get down to the part where you need to decide if you can trust people with certain types of information. And for me, being a loner for much of my life, I don't like to wait. I like those type of interactions, and I share too much too soon, and then people become lessons and not people that are meant to be in my life for longer seasons. And then it's like, wow, I get, and now people have that insight, which is not necessarily beneficial to myself. But like I said, I'm not shameful of anything that I have going on, but it's just parts of me that I feel should be given when it's deserved or when it's like, earned more so. I've misunderstood these situations, and I like to shift blame or blame the other person for their actions. But like taking accountability is like being real with yourself about the part you've played. And if I just like took my time or assessed the situation more deeply, or, looked at another individual with the eyes of someone who is cautious about these parts of their personality or parts of their life, like I shouldn't be so willing to share with personal things or things that I have going on with someone that I don't know how long they'll be around. So it's just like properly vetting people when they come into your life, because some people are there truly for seasons, and maybe it's your presence in their life for the season, not necessarily theirs and yours. So like I said, vetting the person to like figure out, is this someone that I need to take with me for the long term, or is this someone here currently for a wave? And I believe God uses positive and negative situations to build us up, to create with us so we can learn and we can use every situation we encounter. But if I can minimize the impact, I am going to do that. So like using my discernment and learning to talk about things that are relevant to growth versus things that are relevant to my personal life. But like I said, I'm an overthinker, so I tend to want to just share what's on my mind. But I journal, so now I've minimized even that. So going through the growing process, you learn to find other outlets to put your thoughts into. Like, I always admire people who don't share anything. Like, how are you able to keep everything a secret? And when I do that, I feel like I'm ready to explode. Like, I feel like I need to talk to someone. Like, I need to get it out. And like, now I've implemented like my car rides. I just talked to God. Like, I just started like spilling everything. And then even sometimes I feel like that may not be enough for me because I'm not getting a response. And then when I say that, even just saying that right now, it's like, well, what am I looking for? Like, do I just want someone to listen, and do I need someone to validate me? And when I consider that, it's just like, okay, maybe just talking to God is good enough because I just really want someone to listen. Being betrayed or someone showing deceit is not just a personal experience either. It can definitely happen in your spiritual journey. Just interacting with the wrong type of people or following the wrong type of people, especially if you're new to your journey, or, studying with the wrong type of people. A lot of people like power struggles. A lot of people like power in general. So they will find ways to manipulate people, and when people are at their lowest or more vulnerable or just available for exploitation, a lot of people can take advantage of those situations. So I've had experience like that in my journey where someone kind of like exploited a moment in my life while I was like studying, getting closer with God. And it really hurt me because I feel like that experience is it's so sacred. So for someone to come in and like poise your mind during that process, or, be deceitful about their true intentions to gain whatever they're trying to gain from you, whether it's control, money, you know, a following, I don't know. But that is a very sacred type of journey. So I've learned to like not put the responsibility solely into someone else's hands when it comes to my relationship. Like, I get super busy because I do a lot just between like teaching, coaching, tutoring, even recording my pods, just planning with my daughters and life, and just trying to rest in between. That sometimes like reading on my own can get it can get pushed to the side, and I rely solely on my Bible studies to do the job of like reading on my own, and putting all that responsibility in someone else's hands has, like I said, done more harm than good, because now everything I've studied is manipulated to whatever their goal is for. So if their goal is to control your behaviors, or their goal is to take any financial gain from you, all of that is like incorporated in the study. And now I don't know what type of relationship I have with God. So I was deceived in my journey. And like I said, it was very hard for me to accept, because that disappointing God is not a habit I want to make. It's not one that I want to continue. So I am very hard on myself when I mess up, because I struggle with perfectionism, and I need to be more realistic with myself about the journeys. As much as I say it's like not linear, it's accepting the times where you fall is harder, is more easier said than done. So in that moment where I was like being falsely led in a direction because I didn't take accountability for my own relationship with God, and just like committing more time to just studying on my own, I was like put in a position where like I disobeyed. And I'm like, dang, is God gonna forgive about me? Like, is he gonna just say, this is over with, this is like, you know what I mean? Like, it was deep. Like, I was like driving home, and I'm like, darn, this is crazy, like, am I spiritually lost now? Because I rely solely on this study to have an understanding of what God is, instead of like doing the work. And there was times where I was studying on my own, but because I was studying so much in Bible study, that I was like, okay, I'm in here 3 times a week. Like, maybe if I skip tonight, and then once you start skipping, it just becomes a habit anyway. So it's just like relying solely on someone else to do the work that I was supposed to do. So that form of deceit, I had to really sit back and like, there's nobody to blame but myself. Like, I couldn't even blame the people involved, because that's who they are. And it was like, my job is still to build a relationship with God on my own and be consistent with it no matter what. And like prioritize it, because all things are possible through him. And if I'm not prioritizing that relationship, everything else will fail. Like, Jesus should be the cornerstone of any type of endeavor that you have, because when it gets hard or things start to fall apart, if there's no true foundation, like true relationship with him, then everything will crumble. So I had to like go back, start over, and just like, start reading on my own, and everything that I'm building or creating in a moment. I was like, I have to make Jesus the foundation. I have to make God the foundation. That way, when things get hard or I fall short or something doesn't go right, I'm not so quick to like back out of the plan, because I'm not doing this for me ultimately. I'm being used and I want to be used correctly. So I want to put him in a place where he is making all the decisions and I can trust and rely on him, because in the Bible, there's scriptures that quote and say what God is capable of doing and what he will do and what it requires to get it done. So I'm learning to be more responsible and accountable for my spiritual journey and not solely putting the responsibility on someone else. And to go back to like the personal aspect of it, it's the same thing. Like, I want to blame other people for the deceit or for the betrayal, but it's my job to protect myself, not theirs. And just reminding myself that I'm not responsible for anybody to change. I don't want to project the potential anyone can have from my standpoint. So I don't want to be in someone's life to fix them. If I'm being used by God, then I want to be used. But when he says move, it's time to move, because people will use you no matter how long you allow them to. So knowing when to put boundaries in place, when to properly instill deeper, meaningful relationships, and take off take the walls down and allow people to get closer or allow people more access into your life. Otherwise, the cycle repeats, and I'm back where I started when it came to the relationship. I forgive people after those type of encounters, but it's really hard to get back to where the relationship was, because you kind of see people for who they are. And by that point, you just want them at a respectable distance where they're not doing harm to you or harm to anything you have going on. So I'm learning a lot through things and through these experiences, and I'm taking notes about everything, and I'm like keeping it back in my mind, like, okay, God, I hear you. As soon as something happens, I'm like, God, I see you. Like, I know this is you. Like, I know, I get it. I understand. And like trying to be more wise going forward and not making the same mistake, and just putting up healthy boundaries in place. Remember to stay faithful to your journey. You are not alone. It's spiritual, not personal. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Growth Purposes Only podcast. Grow gracefully.